and we are on page Tes Zayin Amud Aleph, 16a. The Gemara that we're starting begins with a pasuk by Yoshuvu ish midarkoi hara'a umin hachomas asher b'chapeim. So this is maybe about 12 lines, 13 lines up from the bottom of the page. By Yoshuvu ish. That's the first word on the line. By Yoshuvu ish. If you are in the art scroll, we are on 16a3. 16a3. So the Gemara is expounding on different psukim that talk about the people of Nineveh. And the Gemara had already mentioned, it's actually the same, is it the same pasuk? Yeah, I guess it's the same pasuk that it was mentioning before. This is the same pasuk that they wore sackcloth, the people and the animals, and they called to Hashem b'chazka, with strength. They had a good line. They had a strong words to say to Hashem. They had a powerful words, and each person returned. That's what we're up to. Vayoshuvu. So we're in the second column. If you have the art scroll, 16a3. Vayoshuvu ish midarkei hara'a umin hachamas asher b'chapeim, and the people returned from their evil ways and from the chamas, which has to do with robbery and stealing, from the chamas that was in their palms. Now, the Gemara wants to know, what does it mean, the chamas that's in there? That they did tshuva from the chamas, from the robbery that's in their hands. So Amar Shmuel says, Filo Gazal Marish. This is a very incredible thing. The people of Nineveh did this. Even if a person stole a beam, Uvanai Bavira, and he built it in a palace, he would uproot the palace completely and return the beam to its owners. Now, according to halacha, you're not really obligated to do such a thing. According to the letter of the law, maybe you would need to uproot imagine you built your house and you use some type of peg or cement that was stolen. Now you got to uproot your whole house. You have to take out whatever it was, the beam, the cement, the peg, whatever it is. You would have to take it out and return it. Now, Chachamim said, no, people are never going to do tshuva. Imagine Stolen Seals, a $25 beam. He's going to have to lose $250,000 to get out his $25 beam so he could return it and be free of stealing. So the Chachamim said, Takana Sashtovim, that there's a takana that we don't obligate you to do that. It's a if we would obligate you to do that, you would never do tshuva. You would have to give $250,000 in order to do tshuva for stealing a $25 beam. People wouldn't do it. It's going to be very hard to get people to do tshuva. So the rabbis allowed. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying the word chamas. You're saying it's robbery, and here he says violence. And I remember I think it was by Noach. It's by the Mabul. It says Hamas, and they translate it as violent robbery.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So basically, we're talking here that the way the Gemara is explaining it is that it's it's dealing with someone who stole something and they returned it. So what did they? So what did they do? They actually took apart their whole house, the whole palace, in order to return this. Even though according to halacha, we have a rabbinic the law that you don't have to do that. You can fulfill returning the what you stole with money, the value of it. You can return the $25. So, but here the Nineveh, they actually took down the whole palace in order to return the beam to its owner. Amar Rav Ada bar Ava. Rav Ada bar Ava says, Adam sheyesh biyodei avera, a person has a sin, which Rashi translates to mean gezel. He has a sin of robbery. So the Gemara, the Rav Ada bar Ava says, if he's misvada, if he confesses the einoi chayzer ba, does not retract. In other words, he confesses, but he doesn't really stop. He doesn't retract. Um, he doesn't pay it back. No, he's um, um, he doesn't return what he stole. So maybe he's regretful, but he's not enough to actually give the money. Uh, um, it's a interesting thing. Like the person will say, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry," but they don't give it back. So what is that similar to? So it says, person holding a dead sheretz. A sheretz is one of the 8 animals that have tuma, that give off tuma when they die. The mole, the mouse, the great lizards, the gecko, the land crocodile, the lizard, the sand lizard, and the I don't know how to pronounce this, chameleon. Chameleon?
Chameleon.
Chameleon.
Chameleon. Thank you. Chameleon. So these are animals that the Torah says, the creatures that the Torah says give off tumah when they die. They're called the sheretz, tumas sheretz. It's a tumah called the sheretz, the shmeina shratzim. These are the 8 shratzim. So the thing is, what happens if a person's holding one of these and he goes into the mikvah? So it says even if he goes, afilo toivel, even if he dunks, b'chol meimais shaba'ilam, in all waters of the world, he goes to this ocean and to that river and to that, it goes everywhere. Also like tefillah, it's not going to have, tefillah won't be effective if he's holding in his hand a sheretz. Zorakoi miyada, if he throws it out of his hand, kivan shataval bi'arbaim sa, even if he goes into the smallest mikvah, 40 saw mikvah, miyad, also like tefillah, immediately his tefillah will work. So he can go to all the other mikvahs, toivel doesn't help, throws it out of his hand, then it helps. Shneimar says, Moida, he confesses, v'oizev, and he leaves behind his sin. Yerucham, he will be treated with mercy. He will be treated with mercy. V'omer, as it says, Nisa levavenu el kapayim, lift our hearts to el kapayim, with our hands, el kel bashamayim, to Hashem in heaven. So we have to lift our hands also. In other words, we can't have our hands still involved in the sin. We have to get rid of it. So we have to remove our hands from the sin. We got to return it, and v'oizev, he's got to forsake his sins. Amdu betfila ma'ridin lefnei hateva zaken. When they stand to pray, amdu betfila, they would put before the teva, before the ark, a zaken, an elder. The Gemara says, Tanu Rabbana. The rabbis learned in a brisa. They taught in a brisa. Amdu betfila, they would stand to daven. Even when they have a zaken and a chacham, nevertheless, we don't put before the ark ela adam haragil, only someone who is familiar. You have to be familiar with the prayers. We need someone who is fluent. We can't have someone who is not so knowledgeable in the prayers. So you could be very holy, but you could do a bad job if you're not familiar with these actual prayers. So you could be old and have a broken heart, but still, you still need to also have the prayers correctly. The word continues, Raisa continues. And it says, Rabbi Yehuda says, Metubal v'yein loy. Metubal means he has children, but he doesn't have any money to support them. Metubal, he's got children, v'yein loy. He's got little kids, but he doesn't have ein loy. He doesn't have what to feed them. V'yesh loy, you give a sada, and he has toil in the field. But his house is empty. And what that means is that his work is in the field, but there's no rain, so his house is empty. Upirkai noya, in his young years, perak, his pirkai, his young years, noya, he's pretty, have a sparkling reputation. His young years have a nice reputation, noya, pleasant reputation, nice reputation. Shval berach, and he's a humble person. Umarutza la'am, and he is wanted by the people. He's pleasant with the people, and they maskimin. Rashi adds maskimin l'tfilasai. They agree to his prayer. So. So that's the Marutza La'am. They like him. The people like him. They want him to pray on their behalf. And it says V'yeshlai Ni'ima. He has Ni'ima, sweet Ni'ima, sweet melody, or has the ability for it. The Koilai Arev, in his voice, is sweet as well, another term for sweet. So he's Rashi says that Besume Kala Shemoishe Chalev, his voice is the type that will draw people's hearts, that it has a impact. It's attractive. His voice, just see how they translate it over here.
He says pleasant.
Yeah, but the Rashi adds a few words. I just want to see how they
Which words are you?
he knows how his voice is besume kala shemoishe chasalev. But Yedei Las is clearly dak beyafa. They add a few words over here. He knows how to make his I guess soft. I wonder if that's how they're translating it. Anyway, so the Gemara is telling us. I'm sorry.
That's why they say names immediately. So
right about David HaMelech. Yes. But like the question is how are these separate things? There's Ni'ima and Koilei Arev. Yeah, it sounds like it's the same thing. That's the question. How do you translate it differently? There's sweet. I think what it means. I mean, Rashi says Ni'ima is besume kola shemaisha chalev. It's like it's attractive. The sound, and then he says it's pleasant. It's a pleasant koilei arev. It's sweet. I'm not sure exactly how to differentiate. But then it says that Baki Likrois paternity Ksuvim, Velishnes Medrash, Halachas Vagadis. He knows all these. He knows the Tanakh. He knows Medrash. He knows Halacha, Agada. He's got to be knowledgeable. Now, he's got to be knowledgeable, though. And now the Baki B'chol brachas kula also has to be expert in all the brachas, meaning not only the brachas that are Shemona Esrei, but the extra brachas. V'yavaba Rabbanan Naihi Yitzchok Bar Ami. So the rabbis, they focused, they put their eyes, they gave their eyes on Yitzchok Bar Ami, like he fit the bill. So that's the end of this page. That's 16a. We turn now to 16b. Hainu, the Gemara asks, Hainu metupel ve'einloi, Hainu besa reikam. What's the difference between these two terms? The metupel ve'einloi sounds like the same thing as his house is empty. He's got kids and he doesn't have what to feed them, and his house is empty. Like it seems like the same idea. So the Gemara answers that that is the spiritual, that it's empty from sin. And his children doesn't have food to feed them. That's physical. That's material. He doesn't have. But also his house is empty from sin. And Rashi adds that there's no. Again, Rashi follows the same logic that it's all about being about not having anything stolen matter in one's house. Beisei Reikam, from sin. In other words, it's not just spiritual. He has no sins at all. It's about he doesn't have chamas. He doesn't have gzela. He doesn't have stealing any items that are not his. Now Upirkai Naya, and it says his youth was beautiful, nice. Amar Abaye Zeshla Yotza Olav Shem Rabbi Aldusa. It means he never had a bad name when he was young. Now, Haisali Nachalosi, the pasuk. It's the pasuk in Yirmiyah. It says, Haisali Nachalosi K'arye Vayar. My inheritance, Nachalosi, my inheritance, was to me like a lion in the forest. Nasna alai b'koila akain snesiha. She gave nasna, she gave alai b'koila. She gave with her voice against me, and therefore alkain snesiha. Therefore I hated. What does this pasuk mean? My nasna alai b'koila, she gave her voice against me. It's Hashem speaking. So Amar Mar Zutra, Mar Tuvia, Amar Rav, Amar Chama, Amar Lazar. So the question of who exactly said this, but what did they say? This is a chazan who goes and is not is unfit, and he's not proper, and he goes before the ark to lead the services. It's a famous issue that many shuls have. They don't know how to kick out they don't know how to stop the guy from being the chazan. Some people, they love being chazan, but then they swallow words and they speak very unclear. It's a very questionable thing. We're very careful to have a person who's saying Kaddish. We have them daven for the Yom that they're the chazan for the year, for the 11 months. Question is, what happens if they're really not fit to be chazan? It's a delicate situation, but let's say they swallow words. And one of the most famous words that people swallow, it's shocking, but it's actually Hashem's name. If you hear someone swallowing words, you'll be surprised that most of the words that they swallow is Ritzeh, they skip Hashem's name. They just swallow Hashem's name. It's like somehow it's like it's natural to just skip Hashem's name. which is really, to me, it's like that's real chilul Hashem. So I don't know. I question like this whole our whole minhag to have someone daven for the yom, and if they're not clear, if their voice isn't clear, I wonder they should ask a rav about it. I don't know. It's definitely not so simple in uh, my the way I see it. I don't think it's that simple that they should be davening for the yom. Yes, Mordechai.
Yeah, Rabbi Warren recently told that story about the rich man who wanted to be the Lansing where and well, the punchline is that the Rav had told him the only thing he could qualify for is the tefillah la'ani, and so I'd have to make you an la'ani.
Yeah, it's a very nice story. Does everyone know that story? Because it's a very apropos.
No.
Now I know it.
Now you know it?
Yeah,
Okay.
now I know it.
Basically,
No,
the community had a big problem that the wealthiest man in the community wanted to be chazan for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and the community people didn't know how to say no because he's the wealthiest person in town. He supports the whole town, but obviously he's not such a righteous individual. He's not inspiring. And he has a terrible voice in addition to all that, and they didn't want him. So they didn't know what to do. So they went to Rameir Pramashlan. So Rameir said, "Don't worry, send him to be. Don't worry, I'll take care of it." So before the Yom Neroim, he would call in. Or he called in all the chazanim. So he calls him to come. I hear you're going to be chazan, and he tells him, "Listen, there's through there's three different tefillos that are mentioned in Tehillim. There's tefillah l'Moshe, tefillah l'David, tefillah l'Ani." So he says, "Listen, there's three types of chazanim. There's a chazan that's on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, is so holy, and you definitely don't fit that bill, but it's okay. There's also a tefillah l'David. Tefillah l'David is a beautiful voice, so pleasant, but in truth, you don't really fit that bill either. The only other possible type of prayer for a chazan is tefillah l'Ani, prayer for a poor person. And that, not sure if you want that. I could daven that you could be poor, and you could fit that, if you want to lose all your wealth, and you could be the chazan. Or maybe it's not a good job for you, and maybe, I don't know. Well, you have to decide if you really want this. You could be the tefillah l'Ani. Would you like that? So, sure enough, he let go of his interest in being chazan. That was something along those lines. Anyway, so the Gemara here tells us, in fact, it brought in Shulchan Aruch these ideas. Chapter, I think it's 53 in Shulchan Aruch. It talks about how a chazan is supposed to be not the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, from the regular Shulchan Aruch chapter. I think it's chapter 53, somewhere in that area. It says over there that you have to have a special, chazanim have to be wanted by the community. You have to be somewhat righteous. Shouldn't have certain sins, and so the thing is, nowadays we're not so makbid on that. But my only thing is, at least they should say the words. But anyway, but it does talk about here pasuk in Yirmiyah that it's like that their voice is she gave her voice against me. That's the chazan that's not fit is hagun, not proper. That's like Hashem is saying, I really don't want that prayer. Therefore I hated her. Now nowadays we're not so makbid on this. Maybe just Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur we're a little more careful for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, but regular davening, I'm not sure why we're not so makbid. I think it has to do with the fact that it's hard to find people that are so righteous. I mean, we've all have our Veira here or there, or something, but so it's hard to find maybe someone that's really appropriate. So if there's no other choice, we have a chazan. So the next Gemara talks about the extra brachas here. So he would say, the chazan would say the 24 brachas, meaning he would repeat the Shemona Esrei, repeat the Shemona Esrei with the 18 brachas, but and add the extra 6. So Arba v'Yesra Shemona Esrei Shabachol Yoim, the 18 of every day. Umaisav Alei and Oidshesh, and he would add an extra 6. When it says Hani Shei Sheva Havi, these 6, really there are 7. Not as we learned in the Mishnah. Allah Shvias Hoim Rachem Rachem Ala Oretz. The 7th, he would say, "Blessed is Hashem who has mercy on the earth." The Mishnah basically said that there's 7. Brings the 7th one, Rachem Ala Oretz. Yitzchok says, "My Shvias La Rucha." Yeah, there are 7, not 7 extra brachas. There are 7 expansions in the Shemona Esrei, 7 expanded brachas. But the first one is actually part of the regular davening, and we just expand it. We extend it with an extra sentence or so. The Taanis we learned in the Brisa, Goyel Yisrael Myrich, in the bracha Goyel Yisrael, that Hashem redeems Israel. That bracha we add to it. We extend it. And that's counted as one of the extensions. And because of that, it comes out that there's really 6 extra brachas that are expanded. And there's the original bracha, Goyel Yisrael, that's part of the 18. And that was also expanded, but it's not an additional bracha. So there's really only 6 additional brachas. There's 7 expanded brachas. One of them is part of the original Shemona Esrei. The Taanis we learned in a Brisa of Goyel Yisrael Maidrich, Uvachais Bahu Aimer Mishanas Avram Barmiyahu Yana Escham. The end of the bracha Goyel Yisrael, you would add a little additional sentence over there at the ending of Vachaisma in its conclusion. Huaymer would say Mishanas, a person who he, meaning Hashem, who answered Avram and Har Hamiriya, Hu Yana Eschem, he will answer you. V'yishma B'kol Tzakaschem. And he will listen to the voice of your cry. Hayom hazeh, on this day, Baruch Ato Hashem Goyel Yisrael. Blessed is the Redeemer of Israel. And Ve'hein Einan Acharav Amen, and they would answer afterwards, Amen. Now the brisa that we just quoted continues with the next thing. It says v'chazan hakneses lahem, and the chazan hakneses. Now chazan here does not mean what we call a chazan. Chazan hakneses means like the gabbai, the attendant, the assistant over there, the person in charge, the person who helps take care of the shul. So the Chazan HaKnesses, he tells them, Tiku b'nei Aaron Tiku, blow the shofar, sons of Aaron, blow the shofar, or the trumpet. V'chayzer v'yomer, and then the Chazan goes back, returns and says, that Mishanas Avoseinu al Yamsuf. So he says the next bracha. He who answers our forefathers at the Sea of Reeds, the Yamsuf, he should answer you and hear the sound of your cries this day. Baruch, blessed is Hashem, who remembers things that are forgotten. And they answer Amen. And the Chazan the Gabbai says, Hariu b'nei Aaron, Hariu, blow the trua, sons of Aaron, blow the trua. And the same thing with each bracha, they would go with one they would say blow, and with the other one they would say hariu, sound the trua. One they would say tiku, sound the tekiah. The other one they would say sound the teruah.
Rabbi,
Yes.
so when you say Tifu and Hariu, what exactly do? They just blow 3 of the tekiot and 3 of the What
So
like you do,
basically,
or do you do a
they
long?
they would do both the tekiah, but the question is which one which. So when they said tiku
No,
b'nei
that's not
Aaron
what
tiku, no.
I understand that. But my question is, what do they do? Do they blow 3 shofar blows for tikkun and 3 teruot, or do they do a long teruah, long tekiyah? What exactly?
So they would do the tiku was one tekiah. Teruah is the middle whatever is called teruah, which we have a whole shiloh what teruah means. Does it mean 3 shavarim or 9 or double, whatever it meant? They would do the teruah, and then they would do a tekiah, one tekiah afterwards. And then if it was the opposite order, it was teruah first, then tekiah, which is one long blast, and then whatever trua means. Again, we're not sure what trua means, but that's the at least that's my understanding. We could look it up in the Rambam.
Rashi doesn't say anything.
What did you say? What does what
I
say?
said Rashi doesn't say anything.
Oh, that's a good question. Does Rashi say anything?
No, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, it doesn't really say. I don't see anything. At least in Rashi. Yeah, let's take a look here. So it says. So in chapter 4 of the laws of Taanis, the Rambam says that the Chazan HaKnesses would say to the people blowing, sound the tekiah, tiku b'nei Aaron tiku, and then he would the Bespalel, the Shliach Tzibur, Chazan would say the thing about Misha Anas Avram Baharia, and afterwards they would actually do the blowing, Taikin, Hakainim, Umarian, Bataikin. They would sound a tekiah, a series of teruais, and a tekiah. He brings over here. Let's see if he brings anything on the bottom. Well, the only thing they bring here is that the Ravid argues, and that when they said tiku, it's only tekiah. So it sounds like this is the machlekes, the Rambam and Ravid, maybe. When it says sound the tekiah, they would only do tekiah. When they would sound the trua, they would only do trua. So the Rambam seems to, the way we're translating it is the way the Rambam says it. The Ravid actually says that they would just do one tekiah. For tekiah, for trua, they would just do the series of trua. And there is a third opinion they bring over here based on the Tosefta, that for all 7 times they blew a series of tekiah, trua, tekiah. So it sounds like they just would say the words differently, but actually the blowing was always the same. So that's basically what we see in the Rambam, which seems like the Rambam. It seems like the way we're translating it is as the Rambam had explained it. Okay, let's continue over here. So so the Gemara says that they would one bracha they would do tiku, the other one they would say hariu, and The Gemara says that b'midvar mamurim. When does this apply? This applied b'gvulin, besides in the Beis Hamikdash, anywhere else in the cities that are not, not in the not the Beis Hamikdash. Migdash ain't a king. The Migdash it wasn't done that way. Whoa, how was it done? Somehow the diaspora is called the Gvulin, the boundaries. Literally, it means boundaries. Well, but anywhere besides the Beis Hamikdash. Migdash ain't a king. The Beis Hamikdash, it wasn't that way. If you sheina and amen Migdash, you don't say amen in the Migdash. How do you know you don't say amen in the Migdash? Shenan says, "Kumo baruch Hashem Elokeichem and olam ad olam." Get up and bless Hashem, our God, from the world until the world, which basically means from this world until the next world, and so you don't say amen because it says this baruch Hu, bless Hashem. And they shall bless the name of your glory, umaraimam, and exalted al kol brachos hila, over all blessings and praises. Yachal al kulan, kol brachos kulan like tehila achas. You might have thought that on all the blessings should only be one praise, maybe one amen at the end. That Hashem is exalted above all the brachas and praises. Al kol bracha tein like tehila, and every bracha give him praise. So what this means is that in the Beis Hamikdash, although they didn't say amen, they would say a blessing. They would praise Hashem. So, and not just once. They wouldn't just say the Baruch Shem at the end. Give them one tehillah. Don't just say a Baruch Shem, one Baruch Shem at the end of all the blessings. They would say a Baruch Shem at each bracha. They would say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam Va'ed. And that is basically the wording that's implied from these psukim, that they should bless the glory of Hashem's name. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Velo b'mikdash ma'oimer." So rather, what does people say in the Beis Hamikdash? What does the Shliach Tzibur say? Sorry, in the Beis Hamikdash, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael min olam ad olam, Baruch Goyel Yisrael. So the Chazan Shliach Tzibur, he says, "Blessed is Hashem, God of Israel, from this world to the next world. Blessed is the Goyel Yisrael." And of course, he would say Hashem's name, and this is also after he already said, or the insertion that they would insert, the extra insertion they would insert, that extended this bracha of he who answered Abraham, on Har Maria, he should answer us and hear our prayer. After you would add that addition. So he would say this, Baruch Hashem L'Kei Yisrael. Then he would say the blessing, Goyel Yisrael. And and people would answer, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam Va'ed. And then the Chazan, HaKnesset Soim Lahen, the leader, the Gabbai of the shul would say, Tiku HaKoyanim B'nei Aaron Tiku. Below the Koyanim, below. And the people, the Chazan would say, repeat. The people actually would repeat. The Gabbai would repeat it. He repeats and says what the Shliach Tzibur said. He who heard Abraham on Mount Moriah should answer you and hear the sound of your cry on this day. And the Gemara now jumps to the next bracha, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael Zeicher Hanishkachos, that the Chazan does the thing with the Zeicher with the next bracha, and the people say V'hinai Nachrov, and they answer Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam Va'ed. Chazan goes to them, and the Chazan HaKnesset, meaning the Gabbai, would say to them, Hariu Koyanim B'nei Aaron, Hariu, do the Trua, and L'chein bracha, the same thing applied in all of these brachas. Ba'achas Tiku, Ba'achas Hariu. One of them he would say Tiku, blow, and the other one he would say Trua, blow the Trua. Until he finishes all of them. This is the way Reb Chalafta established the custom in Tzipori, and Reb Chananya ben Teradyon b'Sichni, and this rabbi Reb Chananya ben Teradyon did this in Sichni. When this came before the Chachamim, that they did what was supposed to be done in Beis Hamikdash, they did it in Tzipori and in Sichni. Amru, they said, they wouldn't do that only in the Shar Mizrach by the eastern gate of the by the Temple Mount. That's where you do these type of things with the Min Ha'ilam, Ba'ad Ha'ilam, Baruch Shem. That you have this additional tehillah, this extra praise. You don't have that in the other places. So what comes out is that the Shlich Tzibur added a little sentence, and the people would say a sentence. There was additional sentence that the Shlich Tzibur said, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael min ha'olam ad ha'olam, and the people would answer after the bracha. They would say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Ha'olam Vayet. Okay, so that concludes this discussion, and now the Gemara talks about the next thing about Zechreinos and Shofars. If Yehuda says that they didn't have to say Zechreinos, knows what they had a substitute for those two brachas, Zechreinos and Shofars. In other words, those brachas are not really meant for the fast day. The first opinion in the Mishnah said, yes, we got to say Zechreinos and Shofars. Malchiyos are for Rosh Hashanah, coronation. But Zechreinos and Shofars are very apropos for a fast day. And Rabbi Yehuda argued and said, no, Zechreinos and Shofars also should not be said. My time, Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason, Rabbi Yehuda? What's wrong with saying why shouldn't you say it? He says, we don't say Zechreinos and Shofars. Now we turn to page 17a. Ela Rosh Hashanah, only on Rosh Hashanah. Yeah.
Did you jump a whole bunch of things?
Did I skip something?
My last mark was where Yerusha Mizrach B'Harabayit. And then from that point on, you jumped to 17a.
I'm sorry. Okay, you're right.
Unless I'm mistaken.
No, you're right. Okay. Ve'is da'amri to the Tanya. Now, there's another version of the previous brisa. Okay, you're right. You caught me. Is da'amri to the Tanya? Some say that the brisa was a little different. Aimer lefnein esrem v'arba brachos. He would say before them 18 brachos shebachol yom, the regular brachos that are done every day in the Shemona Esrei. Then he would add 6. And where would he say those 6? Bein goyel l'reife chayle. He would say it in between the brachos of goyel and reife chayle. Umarich, and he would expand b'geula with the bracha of Geula, which is the Goyel Yisrael bracha. And they would say Amen on every bracha. That's what they would do outside of the Beis Hamikdash in what's called the Gvulin and all the diaspora. But in Beis Hamikdash, the Chazan would say Baruch Hashem, blessed is Hashem, the God of Israel, from this world to the next world, meaning from this world till the next world, meaning Olam Haba, and blessed is Hashem who redeems Israel. And they would not answer Amen in the Beis Hamikdash. Why? We don't say Amen. How do you know you don't say it? It says, Hashem, it says, come, get up and bless Hashem from this world to the next world. And they should bless the name of his, the glory of his honor, and he's exalted. I'll call bracho sila over all brachos usihila and praises. He's exalted. I'll call bracha tein tila. So the Gemara understands that it means that for every bracha you should add a praise. And then the Gemara says that Tana Rabbanan, another brisa. you do that same thing. That's the blessing of Goyal Yisrael. You have that extra addition of Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael. Blessed is Hashem, the God of Israel, from this world to the next world. And the people would then say, "Blessed is the name of Hashem's glory forever." And then V'chazan HaKnesses Omer, and the Gabbai would say, "Tigo Akainim, Tigo," and he would say, "Blow." V'chayzav Omer, and the Gabbai would then repeat and say, "Mishanas Avram B'Hamriyahu Yaneskam Yishma Kol Takaskam Yamazeh." He would say, he who answers Abraham on Mount Moriah, he should answer you and listen to the sound of your voice this day. And the Behain Taikin, Umarian, the Taikin. And they would blow Marian, the Taikin. Questionable if that's supposed to be there or not. It's in parentheses in the Gemara over here. But the Marsha takes it out. So the Gabbai would repeat that, and on the second one, Baal Shnia Hoimer, and on the second bracha, you would say Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael Menei Olam Ad Olam, and Baruch Zechon. Again, this is after he would add in all the other additions. So then he would say, but the Shlich Tzibur at the end of the bracha, he would say Baruch Hashem. He would add that extra sentence. Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael Menei Olam Ad Olam. Blessed is Hashem from this world to the next world, the God of Israel. From this world to the next world, blessed is he who Zeichen Eshkachis remembers the things that are forgotten. They would answer Baruch Shem, Chazan HaKnesses Omer Hariya ben Aaron Hariyu. The Gabbai would say blow with the Trua, and Vaymer Mishanas Avoy Seinu Al Yamsuf. Then he would say the second edition, extension of the expansion, I should say, of the bracha. He should answer you and hear the voice of your cry on this day. And Behem Marian, we're taking a Marian, and then they would blow the Trua. Same thing applied to every bracha. One he would say Tikvu, one he would say Hariyu. The bracha is cool until he finishes all these extra 7 extension, additional, expanded brachas. And and they did this in these different places. And they said that we'd only do that in Shar Mizrach and in Har Habayis. So it's just a slightly different version, but it's basically the same. The same thing. So then the Gemara says that on the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda argued and said you don't have to say Zechreines. So Amar Rav Ada Min Yafa, my time with Rabbi Yehuda. Why? What's the reason Rabbi Yehuda? Vishanam Zechreines for Shofrais Ela b'Rosh Hashanah. Because we would not say Zechreines and Shofrais only on Rosh Hashanah, but Yovelais and then Yovel, the 50th year. The Yom Kippur of Yovel was a big ceremony, and that was a special. It was a special prayer. That's when you do the Zechreines and Shofars, and also B'Shas Milchama, and also at the time of war. So there as well, you would do Malchi Zechreines Shofars and so on. Now the Gemara says that Al Rishaynai. On the first bracha, he would add this sentence about answering Avram. So Tana yesh machlifen cycle eliyot fila l'shmuel. So we learned, it was taught in a brisa that some say that the actual wording should be switched. So what was the wording? So our wording was Mishanas Avram. He who answered Avram, let's look at the wording. Misha'ana es Avram b'har hu yan eskam yishmam kol tzakaskam. So he should, he who answered Avram, meaning Hashem, he should answer you.
Well, my class is over in 2 minutes.
And here the voice of your tzika. Now that's with Avram, and when it comes to where we have let's look back in the Mishnah. That would be the best source. So the Mishnah said that by Goyel Yisrael, we speak about Avram. We say Hashem should listen to the sound of your cry, your tza'aka. With the Aviseno al Yamsuf, he should listen. Koil tza'akaschem also be used psycho. When it comes to the Hashem should listen to your cry, and when it comes to the Yeshua in Gilgal with Yerichai, so it says listens to your cry with Shmuel and Mitzvah, and so on all of them it says cry. But what do? They want to switch cycle Eliyahu, and what's the end bracha? That's the question. So Goyel Yisrael is the end of the first bracha. Zoicher Neshkach is the end of the second. The third one is the Shemea Trua, Shofris. And the fourth one is Shemea Tza'aka. That's at Shmuel and Mitzvah. That's where Shmuel had to fight the Plishtim. And we say Hashem should listen to the cry. And that's the fourth bracha, Shemea Tza'aka. He listens to the cry. On the fifth one with Eliyahu, and Har Carmel, when he was fighting against the debating the Nevi'e Habal, so the bracha is Shemea Tefillah. You should listen to the prayer. But we don't say Shemea Tza'aka, we say Shemea Tefillah now. So one of them is Tza'aka, one of them is Tefillah. The fourth we have as Tza'aka, the fifth we have as Tefillah. The difference between Shmuel and Eliyahu. Now, the Gemara here says that Yesh Machlifan Tza'aka Eliyahu Tefillah L'Shmuel. That they said instead of saying Shemea Tefillah by Eliyahu, you should say Tza'aka by Eliyahu, and Tefillah. So we have with Shmuel we have Shemea Tza'aka, and with Eliyahu we have Shemea Tefillah. And some say with Eliyahu it should be Tza'aka, and with Shmuel it should be Tefillah. The Gemara says, Bishleim Agabe Shmuel, it's good regarding Shmuel that I understand that you want to say Tefillah there, because Ksiv Beit Tefillah, Ksiv Beit Tza'aka. So it's understandable, you know, how our version, how the version has it. Eliyahu Tefillah Ksiv, Tza'aka like Ksiv, but it doesn't say Tza'aka by Eliyahu. So the Gemara is basically saying that you want to switch Tza'aka to Eliyahu. Where does it say Tza'aka? So the Gemara answers, Aneni, Hashem Aneni, Lashon Tza'aka. It sounds like Tza'aka when they cries out, answer me, Hashem, answer me. So it's considered basically Tza'aka. So that's the Gemara's understanding, answer of why it should be Tza'aka for Eliyahu. And even though it doesn't really say the words Tza'aka there, they cried out, but the fact that he said Aneni, Hashem Aneni, that's considered Tza'aka, that was crying out. Now, the Gemara continues and says, Al Shishas Huaymer Misha Anas Yaina, the Me'ei as Yaina, he who answered Yaina when he was in the innards of the whale, Chulu Al Shvias Huaymer Misha Anas David Chulu. And on the seventh bracha, he would say, he who answered David. Gemara says, Bichti Yaina Basar David Shleima. How does this flow? Yaina really is in the wrong order over here. Yaina came after David and Shleima. My time of Maktim Liberation. Why are we putting Yaina before the seventh one, which is David and Shleima? David and Shleima should be sixth, and Yaina should be seventh. So the Gemara says, Mishum de'boy lamichasam merachim al haaretz, because we need to end with emphasizing that Hashem has mercy on the earth, which has to do, of course, with the fact that we're having a drought now. Therefore, David and Shlomo are going to have to be at the end, because the bracha that they that we end off with, which has to do with them, is the bracha that we want to end off with. Tana Mishum Sumchas Amrud, that Bryce Tana taught in the name of Sumchas. They said in the name of Sumchas, Baruch Mashbil Haramim, that
Who brings
the
down the
actual.
haughty?
I'm
Right.
sorry.
Who brings down the haughty?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but the question, but what does he mean by saying that? That there's another opinion how the end bracha should be said, that the bracha should be Baruch Mashbel Haramim, like a different opinion. And so the Gemara brings here another opinion that the bracha should be that Baruch Mashbel Haramim, who humbles the haughty, and basically you think that they don't need Hashem's help, and this will humble the people. Baruch Mashbil, blessed is Hashem who humbles the haughty, and when Hashem does that, he, by denying people and making them not have rain, it'll make them. So in other words, we're acknowledging the rain that Hashem is holding back. But in other words, Hashem is holding back the rain. By doing that, he is humiliating the haughty who claimed, we don't need you, Hashem. We're self-sufficient. We're satisfied with the way things are. We don't need you, Hashem. So Hashem, by him making it not rain, he's humbling the haughty, and we acknowledge that. We emphasize that we bless Hashem for humbling the haughty, but now please let it rain now. In other words, we could use the rain now. You've done your job, Hashem. You've humbled the haughty. So the next part of the Mishnah, Shalish Taanis Rishonis Anshi Mishma Masanim V'Lemashlimin. First three. So now we got into the Mishnah got into this whole concept of which fast do you have to fast, especially you're doing work at the Beis Hamikdash. It's not easy. Do you have to fast the whole day? Can you break it early? Which ones maybe you're totally exempt? So that was the Mishnah, two opinions in the Mishnah. And so the Gemara says, Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a Brisa, Nema Amra Anshe Mishma Matarn Lishtes Yayin. So the Brisa said, what? You know what? I think we're going to stop here. It's 11 a.m. So my time is up. Sei gesund, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.